welcome to the Unconventional Intentional Homemaking podcast. I'm Issa, this is my wife Blaise.
Hello.
And today we are going to be doing a bit of a review of the last year, but also talk about what our intentions are for next year. And it's all about looking back and looking forward, as you do this time of year.
Yep, so looking back on 2024 and forward to 2025 for clearly the people who are going to be watching this way in the future.
Hi future people. So this is a time when a lot of people tend to set New Year's resolutions. We actually gave up doing that a long time ago.
It is, it's a very reflective time.
Yeah.
And actually a big part of intentionality is that reflective. So this is actually a really important and key time of year for us to do this. It's something I didn't used to do.
Something I've done since probably about 18, 19. Not very well, but I did it.
I don't think it's something I really started to do until I started doing more bullet journaling and living more intentionally. I would, potter through life, watch some fireworks, go to bed, if I made it to the fireworks.
No, I would often spend the first day of the new year generally in bed with a notebook or a diary, and I would set out all of my goals, everything I wanted to do, what I was bad at. It was always very negative is the problem, I guess.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, how did that work for you?
And then by the 2nd of January, that was it. It was kind of done. I never looked at it again. And I would do that once a year.
So yeah, I guess a big part of this reviewing thing is, why are you bothering to review and what do you want out of it and how is that going to make differences in the future? And if your answer is, I just wanted to look back on the memories of the year, smile a bit, give myself a pat on the back for the good stuff and then move on, that's perfectly valid.
It is, yeah. We're very goal-orientated people, are we? I don't know if we're goal-orientated, we're very achievement-orientated people.
I'm very progress-orientated.
Oh, that's probably a better word.
Yeah.
Progress-orientated.
So for me, looking back on how things have been, and then if I'm like, right, and this is the things I want to progress, and then that's an important thing for me to then see that progression. And that's been a lot easier to do since I started writing everything down.
Yes. As long as I've known you, even before Bullet Journal, you've been very, I keep wanting to say goal orientated, but that's not quite it. But progression orientated. You've always had a set of goals to try and meet.
Yeah, for someone who's so not ambitious, I'm surprisingly ambitious.
Yeah.
I guess I just I tell you what. It's because I'm a dopamine junkie.
You're just a dopamine junkie.
I'm a dopamine junkie, and I get dopamine as a completer finisher of achieving things and making progress and doing stuff. It's not even I'm not even a completer finisher. I'm a progressor.
Yeah. So the thing with you is that you are someone that you will go, I'm going to go and do a thing, and then you go and do the thing, and it's always kind of baffled me. And I'm sat here going, how do you do that? Because I've always been someone with really, really big ideas, and then that's it. I write it in a notebook, and then I forget it existed.
Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of ideas that I either haven't started or I did decide weren't for me. So, just saying, oh yeah, you decided to do a thing, and then you manifested it, and then you moved on. It's it's not.
No, but what I mean is, you decide to, hey, I'm going to go and write a book. You then progress writing it, but it might take you 3 years.
I was going to say, I'm on chapter 3 of at least 22. Progress has been made.
Okay, yeah, but my book has about 3 lines of outline and has been in that state for 6 months. That's the difference I'm talking about.
Let's also not forget I've wanted to write this book since I was 10.
That's true.
So I have had a lot more thinking time. Anyway, by the by.
But anyway, all of that sidebars again.
Sidebars. So we now kind of more set intentions as opposed to goals and resolutions.
Yeah, so what's the difference, I guess, is what we should answer is, a goal is obvious, it's something that you set, it's hey, I want to buy a house in the next 5 years, it's I want that promotion, it could be a small goal, I want to redecorate this room.
I mean, the best ones of those are your SMART goals of specific and...
That's where my goals always fell down. I really struggle because I always struggled with the measurable bit, because also the sensible way of setting goals is don't set anything that's outside of your control.
So what is it?
So how do you measure something?
Yeah, what is it? Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time-bound.
Yeah.
Smart. And this is what, at work, they're like, they must be smart, they must be smart, they must be smart. And you're like, I have no idea how to make this open-ended, vague goal that I just want to make progression on smart.
Yeah, so I always really struggle with making goals smart.
I guess that's why we tend to go towards intentions, because intentions don't have to be smart. Intentions can be woolly and just a vague, I want to go this way.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the key difference. Is a resolution is a habit or a goal. It's something you set at the beginning of the year, generally.
I'm going to go to the gym every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that one. I'm sure everyone is achieving that.
You know the best resolution I ever did? I think I was about 17. And I said, I am not going to eat chocolate for the next 31 days. I did not eat chocolate for those 31 days.
So that was, surprisingly smart. It was time-bound.
Yeah,
and specific and measurable and all those other things.
It wasn't, I'm not going to eat chocolate this year. It was, I've just got to make it 31 days.
Yeah, so it was much more realistic. So I think that's something like, resolutions are often unrealistic.
It's the only one I've ever managed.
I actually had a resolution to give up resolutions one year.
I remember that.
And then I actually failed, because then I was like, oh, go on, I'll have one.
I remember you giving up your resolutions and so I'm not going to have resolutions, and then we ended up with a whole bunch of goals instead.
Because that's totally different. But as we were discussing, they kind of are.
They are, yeah.
So
goals.
maybe I did achieve giving up resolutions, because we just set intentions and goals instead.
Yeah, and this year, so last year I would say I set a mixture of intentions and goals. This year I want to largely set intentions, which to me, an intention is a broad, vague statement. It's a mindset, it's a direction you want to go in, rather than a specific, I want to get that promotion. It's, I want to progress towards a promotion. Yeah,
I definitely favour, whatever you pick, I definitely favour ones that you have in your control. So yeah, it's, I'm going to work towards this in the ways I can. But if it's, I want a promotion, well, that's not your decision to make.
Yeah, so another one that's example for us is YouTube. Is last year I had a subscriber goal. We smashed the subscribers goal.
Thank you.
We did really well. But you were kind of anxious every time I mentioned it, even though we'd already passed it, and like, I don't really like it, so we can't control that.
Yeah.
Because we can't control if someone's going to subscribe or not.
No.
All we can control is we keep putting out videos.
Yeah, all we can control is keeping to our schedule, reviewing our stuff, going through it and hopefully improving, and taking the comments and integrating those and that feedback from what other people are saying they want to hear.
Yeah.
And improving so that we're all enjoying this journey together.
Yeah, so this year, rather than having a set subscriber goal, because that's really hard to measure, I want to set an intention, and a more of a mindset is that I want to improve at my YouTube content. I want to get better at it.
Now the downside is, because that's not measurable, how will you know when you've achieved it? How will you know if you've done good enough? Like, what does that look like?
That's the other thing, is it's then a personal decision on, hey, am I improving or am I not?
And again, it's being realistic with yourself. It's like, if we set the goal of, oh yeah, we're going to have this intention, and the measure of that is we're going to have 1 million subscribers by the end of the year.
We are never going to have 1 million subscribers in 1 million years.
Exactly. So it's a bit unrealistic, and again, you're linking it to something you can't control, but it is also a measure. So your subscribers, so it's things that you can't control can be a measure of how well you're doing.
So, but within that intention, I do have specific goals, but they're more, I want to specifically improve at doing this podcast. Because I know our audio could improve. I know all of these things, and so there are specifics within that intention that I know I want to focus on.
Yes, and that kind of links to some of our other intentions that we'll discuss later.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of them.
We do.
We always have a lot of them.
We always have a lot. Well, it's that time of year of reflection. I think one of the things that we did last year that I definitely want to take forward into next year, because it actually worked really well, was setting a kind of a word of the year, and that kind of set an intention. There's a thing. There's decor there that I'm just whacking. And setting an intention in a word for the year.
Yeah, it's kind of it manifests that mindset. I hate saying things like manifests.
Manifest that one. Yeah, no, that's a bit...
Because it's a little bit woolly, but we often find that if you go into something with a particular mindset, it helps you work towards achieving that goal that you have within that.
So what was yours last year?
Growth.
Have you achieved that?
Yes.
Thank you for the subscribers.
Thank you for the subscribers. Because my word of the year was growth, but it meant growth. It was YouTube specific, but it was also I wanted to grow personally with my degree. I had a bunch of other things that I wanted to just grow personally as well.
I mean, yeah, just your confidence with the videos. Like, there's some really big developments there.
Yeah, so one of my intentions or my goals within that word of the year was I want to be more comfortable in my own skin. And I'm still not massively confident, but I'm so much better than I was.
But you've had growth there. That's kind of the point. Yeah. That is the kind of the difference between an intention and goal. Your goal could have been, I want to do this. Whereas the intention was, I want to make progress towards...
Yes, I just want to feel more comfortable with myself. And I am much more comfortable now than I was this time last year.
Yes.
So yeah, it worked.
Yay. It did, yes.
What's yours?
So last year was balance.
Do you feel you've achieved balance?
More recently, yes. At the beginning of the year, definitely not. So this was... definitely something I was finding out. So I gave myself way too much to do at the beginning of the year. I was trying to do like sticker bundles.
Yeah, you were creating stickers and artwork and all sorts of things.
Yeah, for my bullet journal, with the intention that could turn into something.
Yeah.
What it turned into was a massive time sink that was massively stressing me out and stopping me from achieving other things that I wanted to.
Yeah, so I think just about halfway through the year, we just sat down and said, this is not worth the stress.
Yeah.
Let's drop it.
Yeah, so I dropped it.
Yeah.
And that was part of balance. It was also, I'd set goals as well, and one of my goals was to make 12 bundles, one a month. So of course, naturally that then stopped happening.
Yeah.
But that was because my intention was more important than that goal. Especially as that intention of balance was very much about mental and physical health, about sustainability of my time, my energy and things. And I was finding the job that I had at the time was, quite a lot. And I was always tired. I never had enough time. I always felt like I was chasing. At the beginning of the year, I definitely didn't feel very balanced.
Yeah, I think also at the beginning of the year you were more involved in the YouTube general day-to-day stuff than you are now. And I think that all of these things together were just quite a lot.
It was a lot.
I think you were still editing a couple of things here and there and stuff. So we basically just gave all that to me.
We rebalanced it all.
Yeah.
And now towards the end of the year, we've moved some things, shuffled some stuff. I've then naturally filled that time with other hobbies and other things that I'm doing. But I do feel more balanced.
That's good.
I feel like, so I've changed jobs, and this one is a couple of... it's amazing what 3 hours difference a week makes.
Yeah.
And not having to go into the office so often.
Yeah, so that was quite a big one for you. Do you feel like there's been any negatives to your word of the year? Because there definitely were to mine.
I think the recognising and having to drop things, and the recognising and making that scary choice to get to change employer. All of that is scary but definitely worth it. Was that a negative? I don't know, but I don't do bundles anymore. I don't make sticker bundles anymore. I'm not making stickers, which then means that I'm not improving my digital art.
No.
Which was one of the other things I wanted to do. Instead, I'm doing a whole bunch of other stuff.
So my word of the year, on the whole, it's been fantastic. It has worked. We have grown, and I have grown in many ways. But we have got to the end of the year, and I am exhausted. Because the problem with having a mindset of growth is that you then are really focused on working hard and working hard all of the time.
Yes.
And I am very tired now as a result of working so hard this year.
Yeah, my balance, I was still kind of burning out a little bit because I was trying to balance work and other hobbies, and I didn't try balancing my health and my stress levels. So again, I think I overdid it, particularly towards the beginning of the year, while trying to balance all of these things instead of just going, hey, there's just too much on my plate.
Yeah. So just to tie this into homemaking for a moment, I actually did have goals that were particularly surrounding the house as well. So if I read it a sec, my intention was I want a home that feels less stressed, and I want to do that by developing good routines and maintenance, and I would like to be proud of my home.
So how did that go?
For the first 3/4 of the year, really well. I think this has kind of coincided with me getting tired, is that I'm finding it all a little bit more of a struggle now than I was.
So it's almost like we had long COVID and you've been struggling with fatigue and having all sorts of issues like that.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't helped. I think we're genuinely just busier now.
Yeah, there's that too.
Which also is quite a big factor of it.
Well, yeah, we hadn't started this podcast this time last year.
No, that was we gave ourselves a weekend off from doing anything, and suddenly we were recording a podcast. We're not very good at taking time off is the problem.
No.
We always fill that time with something.
Yes.
So that leads us on to perhaps what our words of the year for next year are.
Yes.
Mine, with that in mind and all of that in mind, is sustainable. And not in an environmental way, but even though that would be nice, but sustainable in a way where I can sustain all of the aspects of the different things I'm doing, like my personal goals, my university degree, and the YouTube and the house. Okay, I forgot about the house and all that.
And the podcast and the looking after me. And,
all of those things.
You know, sometimes you might want to see some of your friends.
Oh, maybe.
Things like that.
Maybe.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the big question is this currently sustainable?
Yeah, because what I'm struggling and things aren't as sustainable as they should be. So I want to find next year a way of being more sustainable with it all. Which probably means finding ways of being more efficient and that sort of thing. And working out what's important.
Yeah. Going back to that intentions of what's working, what's not, and... Yeah, and what's worth doing.
So what's your word of the year?
Mine is similar, but kind of different. Mine is pacing.
Okay.
So what I found at the beginning of the year, with my balance, was I was trying to do all of the things all of the time. Whereas now I think I'm fine with slowing down the progress and accepting that things are just going to take that little bit longer, and I just want to pace myself in that slightly slower living, slightly more intentional with my time, and accept that I'm probably not going to get everything done, but also that's okay.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how both of our words of the year kind of follow on from our previous words of the year. They're very much affected by it.
Yeah, and then maybe next year I'll feel like I haven't made enough progress, and then I'll be like, next year's goal is progress.
Yes, possibly.
Do all of the things all of the time. I have learned nothing.
So, I mean, I do have some personal intentions for next year as well. I think I want to become more comfortable in my skin. I think I've got some health intentions I want in there. What about for the house? Should we talk about the house and our intentions for the house?
We are a homemaking channel, that's probably sensible.
So we made a discovery this year. Realisation this year. That we have for the last couple of years kind of been treating this house a little bit like it's a step on the ladder house. That we're going to move. We're going to get a house that's a bit more in line with maybe the house that really, really suits us, that's the house of our dreams. We made the realisation that is probably not going to happen. If it does, it's certainly not anytime soon. And that we should be enjoying the house that we live in currently.
Yeah. And actually what we've also noticed is there's an awful lot of things we just make do with.
Yeah, which means as a time, we're going to be here for the foreseeable future, potentially forever. We need to turn it into the house that we really, really want. Which means stopping making do all those things that we ignore, like holes in the ceiling or
all the little things that we don't show on our channel. Like this house is tired.
Well, our house is tired. Like, the problem is from a distance in our YouTube video, you can't see how tired it is. It looks fine.
It's good enough for YouTube.
But look closely and you can see that all the skirting boards need replacing. And there's holes randomly in the ceiling. And there's floorboards that I'm pretty sure someone's going to go through one at some point.
There's some that definitely wiggle and creak. There's so many little things, and it is all of that. It's good enough, like it's livable. We literally work around some things. Do you know what? It's time. It is time to finish some stuff in the house.
It is time.
It's time to get it to that next level.
Yes.
But also recognising that is progress, because we're now feeling like we can tackle those little things that we could live with. Whereas before it was oh my god, we really need to get this done because this is a problem. You know, like getting a dishwasher was impacting us so badly. So there was things that we needed to do, and now there's kind of things that are polishing it all off and
really thinking about the decor and all of that sort of stuff. So next year is going to be a fun year.
Hopefully.
Because we're going to be doing a lot of things, hopefully.
So what sort of things?
That's for another video.
Excellent.
We will talk about that more in the future. But other than that, for the home, I want to rebalance. Well, we've decided we need to rebalance our house and work and chores, largely because I'm struggling with all of the things, and you are struggling less, so are back in a place where you feel like you can
do a little bit more. Yeah.
So we don't know precisely what that looks like yet, but we will be rebalancing all of those. And as part of that, I want to relook at the routines, work out what's working, what isn't. We'll probably also discuss that in a future podcast. And a really important one with the cost of living crisis and all of these things is being better at budgeting. We're not very good at it.
If you want better microphones and better equipment for things like the podcast, we are going to have to budget better, because that money has to come from somewhere.
It does, yes. But just budgeting better in general.
Budgeting better
we are really, really bad for. We don't impulse buy until we impulse buy. Like, we'll think about something for 6 months.
And then if I'm spending money, I'm spending money.
Then we'll just go and buy it. We'll go, okay, look, we've been thinking about this long enough. Let's go and buy it.
And then while I'm buying that, there's all these like 5 things that I know the house needs.
So we'll just buy it at the same time.
We'll get at the same time, and then suddenly your shopping cart is like...
Yeah.
And then you're like, but I needed it all.
Yeah.
It's like, that's great, but that money does have to come from somewhere.
And we don't plan for it very well. So we want to be better at that.
Yeah.
But all of these things.
Yes, all of these things.
But anyway, that's probably enough for a look back and a look forward. We'll be discussing a lot of the things that we talked about today in more detail in the future. So definitely follow or subscribe for those wherever you're listening to us. And
I'm definitely curious what other people's word of the year is going to be.
Yeah, if you do anything like a word of the year or have any intentions for yourself, please do let us know. It would be lovely to just see what everyone else is thinking and feeling. But anyway, we thank you for listening, and we hope you have a really, really happy new year.
Happy New Year!
Bye-bye!
Bye.